So this is what if Deku, well, was Robin. So we start our story on when Deku goes to the entrance exam. Well, scratch that. Deku doesn't really go to the entrance exam. He goes to UA because his father gave him a recommendation. So Deku goes to pretty much the class 1A. So Deku gets to class 1A and pretty much just sits down. So as Zao walks in class and pretty much explains to the class they're doing quirk assessments. They go go outside and Deku is told to throw the ball last, but everybody else just throws the ball. So Deku throws the ball and pretty much gets Deku gets as far as the Invisible Girl got it because the Invisible Girl has no, well, athletic, superhuman strength. But he does get it like farther than the Invisible Girl because he is stronger physically, because he's really physically fit for a 16-year-old, like freaking Jack Ripper type of freaking ripped. But so they get to the sand pit. Deku jumps over because he did train for this with his father. So for the race, Deku gets about um, fifth place because he did do some jogging and sprinting and races on foot with his father because Batman has shown great amounts of foot speed. So yeah, So they get to grip test strength, and Deku gets about um, third place because he uses all of his strength. And at this point, Deku's a little bit on adrenaline. So they after that, Deku's told to go back home. Everybody's told to go back home. So they go back home, and pretty much Deku did almost get expelled, but Azawa didn't expel anybody though. So pretty much Deku goes home, tells his dad about the day, and then it's the next day, and they go back home. They go back to UA. So Deku and everybody in the class are having their normal day, and then All Might steps in the room the room they're in, and pretty much explains to the class that they're doing quirk assessments. Quirk combat training. So they go outside, and Deku's handed a Zero costume by Alfred because Alfred did bring his hero costume to UA by himself. So Deku's hero costume is basically the hero costume he used when he went on vigilanting because not many people noticed his hero costume when he was a vigilante or even looked closely at it. So Deku could still wear his vigilante costume without people even noticing that it was him that was the vigilante a couple of months ago. So Deku goes to UA. He goes to the start the match. So Deku's teamed up with Ochaku still, and everybody's teamed up the same. So we start the battle off, and Deku sprints off, not telling Ochaku to do anything. So Deku's running off because Deku did kind of want to be a solo act. So Deku's running up the stairs, trying to get to the bomb room to take out Ida. So Deku gets to the bomb room before Bakugo could leave the bomb room because Bakugo's just going for the door, but he gets kicked down. He gets kicked out of the way because the door lands on him because Deku kicked the door down. Deku jumps up in the air and pretty much throws a batarang right at Ida. Deku pretty much it falls down to the ground, and Ida gets hit in the face by the batarang, cutting his face. Ida sprints towards Deku, doing a super kick towards Deku. Deku dodges it, grabs Ida's foot, and pretty much sprains his ankle, putting a little bit of pressure on his ankle, not breaking it, but mobilitating him for a short amount of time. Deku grabs Ida's hair and pretty much sucker punches him back in and out, just going straight in his face, making Ida knock out and also getting his nose bleed. So Deku throws Ida down on the ground and sprints towards the bomb. Then Bakugo blasts the door off of him and throws an explosion towards Deku, pushing him into a nearby pillar. Deku falls down and pretty much throws Batarang at Bakugo. Bakugo blows it away and pretty much does another explosion towards Deku. Deku dodges it and throws a Batarang at Bakugo's head again. Bakugo gets hit this time, but throws a bigger explosion towards Deku. Deku dodges it and uses a smoke bomb to get out the way, to try to pretty much mess up with Bakugo's senses. So Bakugo's looking around, and Deku's running around, making noises and throwing batarangs at different spots to make Bakugo think he's here. So when he least expected, Bakugo gets kicked in the back with all of Deku's might, knocking Bakugo straight into a pillar, knocking him out cold. Deku runs towards the bomb and grabs it. So 10 minutes later, Ochaku walks in there after hearing the whole entire heroes win, and Ochaku does feel a little bit sad that she didn't get to do anything. Deku handled it all by himself. So Deku pretty much gets crowned the MVP because he did all of it by himself. So Deku, and they also congratulate Deku because he did all of it by himself, and also he's quirkless. So that's a double up. And everybody in Class 1A does understand Deku's quirkless, and they try a little bit harder, but all the other matches turn out the same. So, yeah. After that, Deku gets a lot, I mean like a crap ton of respect from everybody in Class 1A, because come on, he took out Bakugo and Ida in a matter of minutes. And he's also quirkless, and he did it alone with no backup. It was pretty much people said Deku was going to replace his father when he got older. So Deku, people that were quirkless did have a chance of being a hero because Batman was a hero, but most quirkless heroes don't really exist that much. Only Batman and a few other heroes in America exist that are quirkless. So Deku goes home after that, and later that night, Deku gets back in costume and pretty much goes on, a fighting crusade. Deku gets in his vigilante costume. Deku gets in his Red Hood costume and pretty much sprints off into the night. Deku jumps down into the night onto a nearby building, looking over at Japan. Looking around, Deku sees a muggery happening. Deku jumps down there and pretty much lands on top of the guy that was mugging the girl, breaking his back. And pretty much Deku says, "You're okay, ma'am," and sprints off. So Deku does this for a couple of minutes that night, but he eventually comes across a drug deal. Deku stops it, taking out a few thugs, but Deku gets hit in the back with a huge amount of strength, also getting clawed in the back too. Deku looks up and he sees a lizard-like man. Deku recognizes that it's one of Dad's villains. It's Killer Croc. So Killer Croc goes for a huge chomp towards Deku. Deku dodges it and grabs his guns. He pretty much starts shooting. It starts shooting and shooting and shooting Killer Croc. Killer Croc gets hit by a couple bullets, but he's not getting hurt that much. So Deku throws the guns to the ground and says it's not really working. And Deku's guns aren't really real. They're BB guns. But they are slightly sharpened, but they're not really, not gonna kill you or anything. But yeah, Deku goes running off into a corner in the dark and pretty much blending into the background. So Killer Croc looking around saying, come out wherever you are, you little twerp. I've heard about you. You're the Red Hood, right?" Deku jumps up behind Killer Croc and kicks him into the water, and accidentally falls in the water with him. The second Deku falls in the water, he realizes that he fucked up. So Killer Croc goes for a chomp towards Deku. Deku uses an electric shock in his suit to pretty much shock the shit out of Killer Croc, but also shocking Deku unconscious as well. So they're falling down into the water, but Deku gains reconsciousness because his Red Hood mask hits him with a little bit of adrenaline from the nick if he's ever knocked out doing pretty much fighting. So Deku swims up to the surface and gets out of the water near the docks. So Deku looks around and a thug goes for a gun. And Deku throws a batarang right at the thug's hand, impaling the thug's hand. Deku's batarangs are a little bit different from his hero costume and his dad's hero costume. Deku's batarangs are kind of circular and they're red. So Deku runs towards the thug, pretty much sucker drop kicks him in the face, pretty much breaking all of his front teeth. And also the thug starts choking on his front teeth. Deku tries to save him, try to give him CPR and try to get it out of his system. He does succeed, but the man went into shock and did pass out. Didn't die, but he passed out because of the pure pain that he felt when his teeth got bashed in. So Deku throws the thug on the ground, and Deku looks around. And seconds after, Killer Croc grabs Deku's back and pretty much chucks him into a bunch of crates. Killer Croc, thinking that he took out that guy, he goes to grab the drug bags and walk off into the ocean. But Deku gets up and throws a tracker on Killer Croc's back before he can jump in the water. Later that night, Deku tracks down Killer Croc and pretty much jumps into his lair, kind of like a swamp type of lair, and pretty much beats the living crap out of his henchman. Deku eventually gets to Killer Croc, and Killer Croc sneaks up on Deku, biting Deku's arm. Deku's arm pretty much gets really mangled. Deku stabs Killer Croc in the eye with a knife, and then starts wiggling it and shucks and pretty much pushes it far enough to hit his brain. Deku feels a little, a little bit of gushiness, so Deku starts pushing harder, harder until Killer Croc is dead. Deku slowly takes out the teeth, or takes the jaw off of Deku's arm, and Deku looks around, seeing all of the blood that's coming from Killer Croc's head. So Deku goes Deku goes back home, and after that, Deku uses the regeneration chamber to fix the bones that were cracked by Killer Croc's jaw. But also, Deku uses a new skin graft that Batman used one time when a hero disintegrated a patch of his skin off. So Deku does fix the mangled skin around his arm and the muscle, because it is a 3D printer of flesh and bone and skin. So Deku does fix his arm pretty well. Deku just has to give a little pain medicine to cope with it for about a month or two, because it ain't a foolproof regeneration plan. Just the muscle and the bone were replaced, but the pain's still there. So Deku walks home after doing all that in the Batcave. He walks up into the house and pretty much takes out his hair costume. And his hair costume does compact into his helmet, because his hair costume can be folded really, really tightly. So Deku puts his hair costume in like a secret type of box or vault underneath a certain padding or hiding spot in the Batcave that only he knows, that Batman didn't know about because Deku just made it. So Deku hides his vigilante costume and pretty much goes to sleep after that. So I'm gonna end it off here. See you guys later. Bye.